Welcome to the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. Welcome to ITSP Magazine Podcast Radio. You're about to listen to an episode of Through the TechVine. So be quiet, pay attention, and get inspired. There is one truth that is not told enough. Technology is not magic, but it can be magical. Technology is human. It is part of who we are, our evolution, our future. Will it be a dystopian or utopian one? Well, that is up to us and nobody else. Knowledge is power, now more than ever.
And you are live, all of you.
No, I'm not live.
I'm alive.
It's AI Sean, remember? So he's either live.
What do you get today?
I don't know who we got today. Today it's gonna be the first day of us not lying.
That's right.
Then we actually have a guest.
Are we telling the truth today?
I don't know. I think we have a guest.
We have the best guest to start off with.
Yeah, and you have a story too, right?
I have a story, but let me introduce our
No, but the story is connected with the guest. I'm not talking about the news. I'm talking about why we have this guest and what happened, a week ago?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I am very lucky to know an incredible woman named Ambareen Siraj, Dr. Ambareen Siraj, who founded an amazing organization, nonprofit called Women in CyberSecurity, or as it's shortened, WiCyS, WiCYS. And last week was the annual conference. And in large part, it happened, and everything at WiCyS happens in addition to all the work that Ambareen does, the executive director does. The cornerstone of leadership at WiCyS is Janelle. And we are so lucky. She is the chair of the board at WiCyS and is the reason I think that everything was able to go off the way that it was in person, and just an incredible leader and inspiration. And it is an absolute thrill to have Janelle here today so she can talk a little bit about what happened last week at the conference.
Yeah, so it's not your imaginary friend.
No, real person.
Hi, Janelle.
Hi, I'm so excited to join y'all today. This is great.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. So,
right, go. You're on.
You're on. Little bit about yourself. This is episode number 15 of Through the TechVine, and usually it's the three of us mumbling and blabbing about technology, our dogs, our personal life, and we always say that we have a lot of invisible friends, and today we brought one, which you're not visible because it's a podcast, it's a radio style, but you're there, we can hear your voice, so maybe tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Sure, I guess I'm a semi-invisible friend, we'll call it that. So as Diana said, I am Janelle Strock. I am the chair of the board of this organization. It is such an honor to get to lead this organization. And I also serve as the conference chair. A little bit about me. My full-time job is as a faculty member at Rice University in Houston, Texas. And my full-time passion is WiCyS. And so WiCyS is an organization to recruit, retain, and promote women in cybersecurity. As Diana said, it was founded by Dr. Ambareen Siraj, and we've grown from an NSF grant into a nonprofit. And so now we operate year-round, not just as a conference, but as a year-round organization. We have an amazing lineup of partners who support our organization, and then of sponsors who help us put on this conference. Probably the thing I'm proudest of with the conference is that half of our attendees attend on either a scholarship or a fellowship, and that means they only pay $40, and that provides them their entire conference experience, including meals, registration, and lodging, and that is provided by our sponsors. And so we had over 1,200 attendees, and so over 600 of those last week were there under that scholarship or fellowship program. And it's just amazing that our sponsors come forward and help us do that. So there's just great things about the conference, but I think of all the things, that's one of the things that makes me the proudest.
And one of the really cool things also about the conference is that, speaking of, since we're at a tech show, is that there, in addition to the talks and the panels, there are posters. And Janelle, maybe you could talk a little bit about the posters, because there's some really exciting tech in them.
Yeah, so the conference is a technical conference. So we have workshops, which are hands-on, actually doing and experiencing things. We have presentation sessions. We have birds of a feather sessions. We have panels. And then, as Diana said, we have a student poster competition. So both in the undergraduate and the graduate category, we have the ability for students to present their posters. And this is often where our students get their first chance to show their work and get feedback. So they get feedback on, this is a good direction that you're headed with this, etc. And so we had a great group of students who prepare a physical poster, and then we have judges who come through, they give them feedback, and then we actually select a particular poster for a winner and a runner-up in both the undergraduate and graduate. And just to give you an idea, we had posters on AI and cybersecurity. We had posters on exploiting feasibility problem in access control policy mining. I mean, they just cover the gambit. We had all kinds of just incredible, here's one on crypto analysis of WPA3. We had one on the taxonomy of cyber attacks. So these are our students. This is our pipeline of people who are coming into this field.
Can you describe one? Can you help our audience visualize one or a few of them? Is it artwork? Is it diagrams?
So a poster will be put on a poster board, and then it will consist of, usually they create a presentation that will include some graphs. It'll include some verbiage. They'll present what they did, what were their results, what they might continue next on this research. So it's usually what I tell my students when they're going to do a poster is I say, prepare a presentation and then pull about maybe 4 or 5 of those slides and visually put those onto foam core poster board. Now, what the students do is they print that, and then they bring it, we provide them the foam core for them to put on, because it's kind of hard to get on an airplane with a piece of foam core. So they just put some information and diagrams and usually some textual results about the work that they're doing.
Nice. And I presume, Diana, you saw some of these as well?
I did not get to see a lot of them. I actually had to leave a little bit early, but they, without a doubt, what we're seeing in these posters is what we're going to be talking about through the TechVine in the next couple of years. So it's really exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So it's not just a poster. There's actually research and work that went into it, the presentation of that material, and then in poster form, and then the students actually present it to an audience or a panel of judges, or how does that work?
Yes. So what happens is it is their research, and then they're presenting their research findings. And as Diana said, this is our future. And so what happens is their posters are on easels, and they're on display for everyone to walk by. And then when you walk by, you can stop and talk to the students. And so for the judging part, that's a specific time that we do that. Each poster is judged by 3 judges. So when a judge comes by, the student will talk to them for maybe 4 or 5 minutes and just explain their research verbally as well. Just give them some background. The judges can then ask questions. They could maybe dive a little deeper into one of the diagrams they have, or ask them questions about, well, what led you to this research, and where are you going to take this next, or how did you come up with those results, things like that. So the students actually do a little verbal presentation, but it's also this physical display of their research results.
Super cool.
Very cool. It's a look into the future, giving a creative approach and some freedom to maybe picture, I don't know, the world as the young generation wants to see it. Maybe it's a good opportunity to see what they see that we don't. And I think that's important. And what is really important is, Diana, we were talking about this before going live, is that you guys got all together there for real. So maybe it's a sign that we're kind of going back to normal and get to hang out with each other once again. So that's good news as well.
Yes. Yeah, it was just so nice to, and as I said, I'm not kidding, Janelle, that was her work, doing the amount of hours. Janelle is very humble about it, but the amount of hours that she put in and the work that she did to make that happen is just, we were all in awe at WiCyS of her work.
So it's a passion, and when it's a passion, and you see these students, you see everyone sharing their knowledge, and that's what keeps you going. I quickly looked up the title of our winter research poster, just to give you a little feel, and it was Empirical Analysis of PLC Authentication Protocols in Industrial Control Systems. Amazing. We have these graduate students that are looking into what's going to happen with our industrial control systems. And we all know that is a real vulnerability that we have to be looking at. So they've taken a specific little area and looked deeper into that.
Very, very cool. Very cool. And we are so glad that we can get the opportunity through this episode and this show to kind of, mention what you all doing. I mean, we talked to Lean many times. We always supported every initiative as much as we could. And we love what you're doing. So thank you for joining us for this, this conversation where we again talk about, I don't know, the future, right? I mean, Sean, we're talking about the future here. No?
We're talking about the future. And what I like about this, today's episode in particular, is it's about the people. Generally, we look at technology and things that are impacted by innovations and bringing new things to light in the world of technology. Today, with this, and Janelle is our special guest today, we're talking about the people as well, and the work they're doing, and a younger audience, a diverse audience, bringing things to life and understanding all aspects of it, right? And there, when you look at systems, when you look at society, there's so many components and elements that we can't be an expert in everything. But to bring people together and have them share their own experiences and their own little pockets of things that they're passionate about, they're interested in, they're doing work on, and to bring all that together under the umbrella of WiCyS is incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think we should do the job that we're not paid for, which is bring in. No, we're paid by the fact that
catching.
Yeah, you haven't shared, Sean. I don't know. No, we're looking for sponsor for this channel, by the way. So if somebody is hearing us and you like the dynamic that we're creating here, we're definitely not saying no. But let's move into our routine. And Diana, our routine usually starts with you, with the news that you found, that you maybe thought was interesting, scary, something that we needed to talk about. So take it on.
All right, so I wanted to go back out of human technology and look at animal technology, because that's what caught my eye, was animals and technology. And back when I was in school, we were taught that that one of the things that separated humans from animals is that humans used tools and animals don't. We also were taught that humans had language and animals didn't, right? We know that now that animals do have their own language. They just can't write it down, but they certainly have a language that they communicate with each other with, and that they do use tools. So it's been proven that chimpanzees use pieces of grass, for example, to put down ant holes, and the ants attach to the grass, and now they can eat all the ants that they wouldn't have been able to get otherwise. That otters use tools when they can't open up a really hard shell to get the fish inside, or the mollusk, I guess it would be the mollusk inside. They'll use a stone to crack it open. So tool use is something that animals do have. Scientists are still trying to figure out how animals learn how to use the tools. Are they learning it from each other? Is it passed down epigenetically? So maybe it's in their DNA. So that's still kind of out. But what caught my eye was really interesting is that there's this bird in New Zealand. He's a kind of parrot, and he's a Kea, K-E-A is the bird that he is. His name is Bruce. He's at a rehab, and an animal rehab. And he has figured out how to use a tool in a way that no other bird is using it. And he had to teach himself because he doesn't have an upper beak. And the Keas need their upper beak to do things like preening. They get in under their feathers, they get the stuff out there. And that also helps them. They eat with the upper beak too. If they've got something that's really hard to break down, they use their upper beak. And Bruce just doesn't have one. So the folks at the rehab realized that he was picking up very small pebbles and then using his tongue to hold the pebble in such a way under his tongue that he could then go through and preen himself, get all that gunk out from under his feathers with this pebble. And some other scientists said, how do you know Bruce isn't just randomly picking up pebbles? So they watched very carefully, and it's very clear. He selects pebbles that are basically the same size and shape. He'll roll it around under his tongue to make sure that this pebble is going to work to be able to preen with. And then he does start the preening. And if it's not the right pebble, he spits it right back out. So I thought it was really fascinating that so it's kind of low tech, but for this bird, it's really high tech because he taught himself how to use a tool, which is a form of technology, to make his life better. He also has figured out how to use certain larger stones to take hard food like carrots and break it up so he can eat it even though he doesn't have an upper beak. So I thought, you know what? That's some pretty amazing tech use from Bruce, the Kea parrot in New Zealand. So that's my tech story.
It's a tech bird. You know what I was thinking when you were saying this is
we should have Bruce on the show.
Yeah, I think he can talk. I guess. I don't know.
I think he's a he.
Well, it's Bruce, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Or is it's a bird. So whatever it is. No, I was thinking about ravens.
Yeah.
And how they can Russell Crowe. Sorry, Russell.
Doesn't he?
Different story.
Yeah, I think he can think. I guess he can act. That's for sure. No, I was thinking the ravens are very social, and also the proven and the crowns, of course, are part of that. They can project things that happen if they do use a tool. Like they learn how to put pebbles in a glass of water so that the water can rise, and they can pick whatever is at the bottom that they wouldn't be able to do. So it's amazing how we think we're so special, and in a way we are, but every creature is special.
Yeah, and use different technology in their way, and apparently in the case of Bruce, he had to come up with this all on his own. It wasn't that he inherited it, he learned it from another bird. He had to figure it out himself and created his own tool use, which is pretty cool.
Did I hear you say apparently?
First, I was thinking, okay, how is this going to relate to cybersecurity? But I decided that, really in cybersecurity, we're always worried about social engineering. And I'm convinced that cats and dogs are the ultimate at social engineering because they will get us to do anything. When you think about it, our pets will get us to do anything that they want us to, and we don't even realize it. They train us.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly how dogs transform themselves, their appearance from the wolf. I mean, they got the eyes. I have one looking at me right now that I know he wants something from me with those eyes like, give me food. Let's go out for a walk and all of that. And they literally transform their appearance to appeal to us, to look less threatened. So yeah, of course they manipulate us.
They are the ultimate social engineers.
Oh, they are, and they do that whole Puss in Boots from Shrek. They can make their eyes really big.
Oh yeah, they train us, and we don't even realize it.
Yeah, wait for the day they start using the internet. Then we're really, really screwed.
All those boxes start showing up from Chewy.
I know.
I didn't order this. Yeah, you did. Your dog did.
I was just thinking because I taught Nora to use the buttons to communicate. Remember back in the day when Amazon had those reorder buttons? Yeah, if there had been like a reorder Greenies button, I'm sure Nora she would have started to push it.
And there is the old saying that at least back in the days that you don't know if you're a dog on the internet. So who really knows, right? But it's really cool, really cool. Sean, what you got?
I have technology created by animals.
Woohoo.
What? Really? Woohoo. Were we both doing animals, Sean?
Mine is not about animals. It's about technology that's developed as a result of animals. How's that?
Okay.
Maybe it's not animals creating it, but it is. Anyway, I'm going to read a little bit of a story. And bear with me. I have not been able to fact check this story, but it seems plausible. And
Uh-oh.
Yes. So uh-oh is right. But it seems plausible. It makes sense to me. So here it goes. It was a dark and stormy night. No, that was a story on a different episode.
Once upon a time.
So the railroad gauge, U.S. railroad gauge, is apparently 4 feet 8.5 inches. I didn't even have time to verify that. So it all starts with that anyway. So 4 feet 8.5 inches. The U.S. system of measurement, not the English or international metric system. Anyway, that's the number. Why that number? So we can figure that out by looking back a little bit to the English, where the English engineers evidently designed the first U.S. railroads. And so why did they pick that distance for the rail spacing? And evidently the rails that were built in England using that space were also built by the people who had wagon tramways. And that's the gauge that the wagons used, or the distance that the wagon used. And because the wagons were built with that, the tools already existed to build things in that spacing. So using the same tools, they built the rails using that same spacing for the U.S. trains. And so you might say, well, why did they not try something different? Well, part of it, I'm sure, is because the tools existed, but evidently they did try some other spacings, and they found that even then the spacing either produced faulty wheels. They'd break and didn't last as long on the roads. And Therefore, they all just kind of use the same spacing, so nobody really veered off. But anyway, that created ruts. And how did those ruts get to be? And I guess I should actually say this better. The reason there were faulty wheels using different spacing is because there were ruts in the wagon ways. And the wagon ways, those ruts would cause the wheels to kind of veer off and not run well. So they figured, okay, we'll just build them all the same. And you might ask, well, how did those ruts get put in place? And it was actually from the Romans. Imperial Rome actually had the first long distance roads in Europe, and including England, evidently. And those ruts were from the chariots.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And so you might think, okay, so every chariot was built the same, therefore all those ruts are the same. And evidently that some folks tried to build different chariots with different wheel spacings, and again the wheels would bust off. So everybody had to follow the same spacing that the Romans used for their chariots, otherwise it would be a problem. So the standard started back with the Romans. And so here's where I'm turning it back to the future. So looking at the space station, or not space station, space shuttles, and there are big rockets attached to the sides of the shuttle, or the fuel tank, I should say. And there are the boosters. And evidently these boosters are a certain size. Engineers wanted to build them differently, but where they're built and how they're transported from point A to point B is, you can guess it, on a train. And a train has to go through certain paths, in some instances through a tunnel, that are certain sizes and limit the size of the boosters. And so the connection here is, I'm sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, but the connection is probably the most advanced method of transportation, rocket ships, is bound to a standard that was created by the Romans. So true or not, I'll assume it is, most of it anyway. The reason I brought this to the table is we find ourselves using existing things to create new, where we're building on top of old things to create new things. Very seldom do we create completely novel innovations that start from scratch. And so I'm wondering what we think as a group of building on standards that are old and antiquated, and maybe box us in or keep us on a certain track and prevent us from building bigger boosters because we can't get them through the tunnel, and the train is the only way to get them from A to B.
Yeah, that's interesting, because because this isn't about reusing something that was good, and just because there's something newer saying, I don't want to use the new thing, I want to, because sometimes just going to the new isn't necessarily the best approach. Sometimes we've got good wisdom, we've got knowledge, we've got a body of work, but in this case it was a constraint. It was like a legacy constraint that no longer exists, but it's almost like they're still being hemmed in by it. Is that sort of how you read it, Sean?
Yep.
Yeah. That's where I think back to my consulting days and all of in the 90s, if you were in consulting, the buzzwords were think outside of the box. Everybody's got to think outside of the box. And it seems like a classic example of not thinking outside of the box.
Think outside of the tunnel.
Think outside of the tunnel, exactly. Out of the chariot. Think outside of the chariot.
Will the Hyperloop have the same spacing? I don't know what the track is there. But.
Yeah. And it kind of syncs back a little bit to when Janelle was talking about the winner of the poster contest, looking at PLCs and ICS, because a lot of what goes on in industrial control systems is actually a legacy constraint. We built these systems 10, 20, 30 years ago, and some of them are still running. They were built for availability and they're still running. And how do we manage the fact that we've got this older technology that still works, but has its own constraints, and how do, can we bring it into the future? Are we going to get boxed in like with the Chariots and the rockets?
So my connection there was to the horses, just to full circle that one as well.
I was wondering about the animals.
Chariots
Yeah.
created that standard.
Well, unless Janelle wants to jump in, I have an opinion because I'm opinionated. So
You take us down the dark side, Marco.
no, it's not the dark side, but it's actually, I'm going to go back to history again because I grew up in Florence, Italy, and that's a city that was built a long time ago by the Romans, like most of Italian cities and many European cities. And there have been a moment in time where you had to rebuild the outside skirts of the city streets. I mean, they've done it in Paris in the 1800s. We've done it in Florence in the 1800s, because streets were not made for cars. They were not made for not even big carriages, really. I mean, there are streets in Florence where you can even turn a corner if you have a car that is not like a Cinquecento or a little small car. And the reason why I'm making this point is, on one side, you don't want to destroy an historical city to do that. But I was reading an article that it was a little bit provocative about self-driving cars. And I gotta find it. I'll see if I can find it and put it in the note. But it was like, it's not that the self-driving cars are not good enough. It's that you will have to rebuild the street where these cars should drive in order to be safe and secure. Different signage, better lines, dividers in the street, and a ton of other things that it would require a humongous investment in infrastructure. So my point is, if you go and build the fast train, the bullet train, like in Japan or in Europe, I'm pretty sure you don't use those distance in the rail. I'm assuming, because probably 450 kilometers per hour, it was probably flip pretty bad. So eventually you get to the point that you have to scratch stuff and start from zero. That's
knock down the Ponte Vecchio.
Well, just don't drive through it, as you actually can't. You're not going to be able to do that in Florence unless you're bombing it like they did. Yeah. But that's the lesson there. At what point? I mean, there are certain things that are worth to preserve, and when are you getting too, lazy to not see that maybe it's not an economical investment to try to do it that way? I don't know.
Yeah, and just getting caught up. It's always been the old way. We can't think. There was something, I can't remember what I was doing the other day, and I realized that it's like we're just used to this, so we've always done it this way. But it's similar, where we get used to it, we build systems around it, and then it's all not relative is not what I was going to say, but sort of arbitrary back to here, where it started back with horse-drawn chariots, right? So it's arbitrary. It's not actually a hard, fast. It's not a rule it's not a law of nature, for example. It's not a,
Yeah.
And I'm wondering the nostalgia part of it, and if we can certainly look at cities and their infrastructure, and visit a lot of places in Europe and the cobblestone roads that are small and romantic. You want to preserve those, right? Or some building that uses old electricity or things like that. You maybe want to upgrade a little bit, but you don't want to knock it down and rebuild it necessarily. I'm wondering, are there things like that in technology? Not because that's just the way it's been used all the time, but because we like it that way. Are there going to be things that we hang on to? We like
keyboards. Think about, why do we still use QWERTY keyboards? Are people actually touch typing with them? I mean, that's sort of an interesting one because we do, and even when we don't touch type anymore, because we're so used to the QWERTY keyboard we have on your phone, and nobody's touch typing on their phone. You're using some sort of swipe or just put, kind of hunt and peck. But we still have that QWERTY keyboard because we're used to it. And I don't even know. I guess with touch type, it's QWERTY because of how often we use the letters, right? So if we were all touch typing, that maybe that's. But who's typing like an old school, back when people were doing rapid typing, 120 words a minute kind of thing. So maybe we don't need a QWERTY keyboard anymore, but we're all used to it.
Mm.
It's funny. I can't remember when I was thinking about it. It was a couple of weeks ago. I actually it may have been something you posted that prompted this thought, Diana. I took a class in typing. How fast can you type?
Oh, okay.
And it's like, dude, maybe, I don't know if it was something you posted, but it was in the context of certifications or something like that, where, I mean, do we check people when they get hired for knowing Word and Excel? Do we check for how fast they can type? Or are those things just given nowadays? I'm kind of off on a tangent here. But.
Well, we used to. So the reason I know how to touch type is that when I was in school, that it was assumed that women were going to, if they had a career that they were going to do something secretarial, administrative. So the options were, I could do home ec, which included sewing, which I was terrible at. So I went over and I took typing on the assumption that I would graduate and become a secretary, and I could do 90 words a minute. But I've been so incredibly grateful that I learned how to touch type when I was younger, because although I did not use it as a secretary, I did use it to, I write a lot, like we're all at our keyboards all day. So I feel really, really lucky that I actually got that skill. I think that people don't get it anymore.
Yeah, I remember feeling awkward. Oh, go ahead, Jenna.
No, Diana, I'm with you because just here at the conference, I was talking to someone and I was typing, and they're like, how can you talk to me and type at the same time?
Yeah.
And you're typing something unrelated to what you're talking. And it was because I took typing. And it is great that, I do everything.
We lost Janelle.
I think you get muted yourself. Maybe you were typing too fast. You pushed the mute button.
I'm back.
Spacebar, does that do it?
There was a joke. I don't know. I haven't even. God, I'm thinking. I think it was an old one, like a comic strip, where it was depicting the first days of computers desktop, that people that used to do the type machine started using it, and somebody was so used to kind of like, took the roll and push it back on the side, and this person was knocking down the monitor all the time because it's what doing the return that way. So we need to get used to things. That's expensive if you knock down the monitor all the time.
So I have a fun animal technology kind of.
Oh, yay!
Yay!
So, and it just, as we were talking about it, I was like, I think I remember something, and it was Velcro. So Velcro was inspired by an animal.
Oh,
yeah. And so it was
a guy. Are you going to make this guess?
Okay, guess.
Guess.
Porcupine?
Nope.
Okay.
Marco, what's your guess?
Gecko.
Nope.
Gecko.
Alpaca.
No.
Alpaca.
It was much simpler. It was inspired by a dog.
A dog?
Oh.
Yes. So the guy who invented it went walking his dog and came back, and the dog was full of sticker burrs, what we call in Texas, we call them sticker burrs. And that's what inspired him to create Velcro. So,
not so nice for the dog, but nice invention anyway.
Yeah. So sometimes it's our animals that inspire us to do things and create. I mean, Velcro is one of the greatest, things that is, it's low tech technology, but it's still. So I love that.
That's really cool. Yeah. Now thinking about because with with Velcro, it's usually kind of two different sides, right? So one side's more the dog fur, and the other one's more the sticker burr.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And so I was just
really cool.
Just trying to think. I'm sure there's other things that scientists and inventors have said, oh, the animal inspired it, but that was the one that I remembered. I think I learned that on Jeopardy.
That sounds like a great source. Verified. Probably way more than Sean's story. We don't know where you found that one.
That's right. Yeah. Somebody else will verify and tell us.
No, I think it's true. I think it's true. You know what? I'm gonna change my news. So you guys keep talking about this. I just have to check one thing because this is inspiring.
Animal now.
I'm gonna go with animal. I just need to check the name of one person. So give me a minute. You talks about something.
So Janelle, Marco brings in the historical tech fact. So
not now. I'm going future.
But he's going. Okay.
He was going to bring historical. Now we've switched him.
All right, we've inspired you.
We've pushed him into the animal kingdom.
So Janelle brought the historical fact because she brought the fact about the. All right, so I'm dyslexic and it barely shows up, but I have a real hard with the word that we're discussing. I have a real hard time saying it right because I want to always default to Vrelco for some reason.
And I don't even know now. I'm questioning what year it was. I'm gonna have to go look that up.
When it was all right, yeah, let's.
1941.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's when the Volca was invented.
Uh-huh.
I would have expected much sooner. Or, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was more recent. Yeah, like that. I would have guessed 70s if we were guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is from the Velcro.com website, so I think we can consider that verified.
Take that to the bank. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I can't find the name of this person, so she will forgive me because I also want to invite her to one of our show. But she's Italian and she is a she's an expert in biorobotics. So she's a biology major and she works with the University of Sant'Anna, I believe, Pisa, the center of research at the university, and they do all robotics that are inspired by animal. So they study animals and plants. Now smaller stuff, but eventually, that's how you do this stuff in Star Wars.
Snails?
No. Snails? No, actually, geckos, for example. That's why I mentioned that before, because they are incredible animal that the way that they climb on the wall, the fact that they can release and they are able now to study that there's like certain air that are so tiny on their feet that can, according to the way they put the angle on their paw, it can release or it can grasp to whatever surface they're on. So it's incredible, and so they look at Mother Nature, which has been engineering things for so many years, to say centuries, millions of years, and say, well, why don't we get inspired by them? So they're doing things like robots that mimics the roots of the plants, for example, so that they rebuild with the 3D micro machines that they extend their length as they are going through the terrain or the walls, and they can create extremely durable and strong system, right? That they can stack. I mean, if you think about how a tree can break asphalt, can go under the ground and look for water, and they can put sensor on all of these robotics so that they can go and study the environment underneath the soil without having to dig through it. So that's just an example, but they study any kind of animal, like the octopus tentacles, for example, that has no bone structure, so it can actually hardening the muscle of the tentacle. They can pretty much squeeze, release, enter anywhere they want. I mean, you've all seen on YouTube probably these octopus that can squeeze through a little hole and then they retransform themselves in a full size. So the point is that by getting inspired by nature, you probably getting what Mother Nature has done for many, many years, and we can learn how to build things that are already marvel of engineers.
Yeah, being inspired by their shapes, but then there are some things that the animal world does that we can't really reproduce, which is kind of interesting. Like, is it true that they still don't know how bumblebees actually fly? It seems like their wings aren't supposed to lift them up, or somebody figured that out. I think somebody finally figured out how eels reproduce, but if you think about like how planes fly versus how bumblebees fly, it turned out that we needed to go in a different direction and not be inspired by them. Although maybe if we figured out how the bumblebees fly, maybe we'd be able to do even different flying.
But technology is actually, it's funny because technology is what allowing us to learn these things, right? For example, if you couldn't make or learn and then mimic, right, this kind of things, if you didn't have something that allow you to observe at a micro level the pause of or the air of the gecko, or go using a thermal camera to see how roots move underneath the ground, or having a 3D printer that is so small that can print material at the tip of the root. I mean, this is sci-fi in a way, but in reality, it's just we're discovering these things because we can look into how these work. Like, you want to study, just say, the fly of a hummingbird or a bees. If you can't have, if you can't slow down the frames and really take frame by frame something that flap their wings like, I don't know, a gazillion of time per second, you can't figure out. You're like, okay, how does a hummingbird hover in air like that? And then you have the technology to study, and eventually you can develop the technology to mimic that. So it's all convergence of different kind of technology that come together.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, Marco, as you described, and I honed in on the roots. Part of it is creating the mechanical parts that allow the root to grow and take a different direction, or just grow, I should say, and then continue on down. But then there's the part of, well, how does the plant, quote unquote, decide which path the roots take? Is it least resistance? Is it, you said sensors, so perhaps it's looking for water, but how does it know what
glad you asked that.
Yeah.
Glad you asked that. Because that's exactly what drives them. I mean, there is this idea, of course, which is not an idea, that they are they're sentient. They're thinking. They're thinking according to what their primary need is, which is survival. So their survival is to go and find water. Their survival is to recreate life. So one other thing they study, for example, is how the seeds of the plants are distributed to build to create the next generation of plants. The one that kind of fly away from the plant, the one just fall from the plant, the other that are getting appealed, they're appealing for animals to take them, and then by doing that they carry it around. I mean, think about the bees, how they take the pollen, and by doing that they help the plants to survive as well. Yeah. So the root is driven by searching for the water in the ground, and also a better soil. And when they have,
For concrete to break.
or just break the sidewalk just for the hell of it, and tell humanity, why the hell are you doing this?
Smash your head against the punk rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is an intelligence. We need to redefine intelligence in a way, and how intelligence is anything that is driven by either a survival needs or a reproduction need or whatever else it is.
I totally agree with that. I mean, because we tend to think intelligence is what we do. We back to dogs. They apparently, as far as we can understand, if a dog walks into the kitchen while you're cooking, the dog immediately knows all the ingredients that are in whatever that pot that you're making of food, because their scent intelligence is so advanced. And we don't think that being able to smell things, and they send each other P-mail, right? They can smell a lot of really important information when they're out sniffing around, and we just kind of discount that. We're like, yeah, the sense of smell, it's not that important, because we don't have very good senses of smell, not because it's not actually another form of intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I learned a new word today.
What's
P-mail?
Female.
Yeah.
Is that the digital version? No, not the digital. Tail mail is the other one.
Tail mail. Yeah, I mean, they are definitely. I sort of joke that it's like when we're out taking them in the woods, that Nick and Nora are kind of. It's like they're checking out the news more or less, because they're getting so much information from the smells.
It's funny you said that, because I walk 3 dogs, and I have learned that I just need to be patient. That's why I listen to a book while I walk them, because when they sniff around a tree or something, and you just pull them away, and you're like, come on, let's go. It's very upsetting for them.
Yeah.
And so you just need to be patient. And when you go walk for the dogs, they're not going really for the heavy exercise. You're just going, I mean, you have to do it for the dogs. And so, reading the news in the neighborhood, it's really important for them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And well, unless they can get on the internet and they have an app, like a community app that they know everything from there. But they already have that. They have their smell and their ears. So they're way more advanced than us when it comes to that kind of stuff. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, okay, I finally got this, the name of this, her name is Barbara Mazzolai, and she's the director of the Microbiorobotics Center of the Italian Institute of Technology in Pontedera, which is in Tuscany. And they do all this research, and the final goal is most of the time is to use these solution to monitor the environment. So, to find pollution in the ground, to find pollution in the air, if they can, like a leaf, for example, of a tree has a lot of sensors that can get a lot of things up from the air. And I think we lost Diana.
We have a hard stop today, and I want to thank Janelle for joining. And,
thank you for inviting me. It was fun to join you guys.
Yeah, it was great to hear your story and sharing a little bit about the WiCyS, and we're always happy to support and everything that you do. So thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Through the TechVine podcast. If you learned something new and this podcast made you think, then share itspmagazine.com with your friends, family, and colleagues. If you represent a company and wish to associate your brand with our conversations, sponsor one or more of our podcast channels. We hope you will come back for more stories and follow us on our journey. You can always find us at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society.